46.
सर बस एक्सरसाइज करता रहता हूँ अपना, ठीक है, खाने पीने का भी थोड़ा।
नहीं, अच्छा, you are as smart and handsome as you always were.
Thanks, you made my day.
तो अभी तक बॉलीवुड ने तुमको ओपन नहीं किया.
Now we are starting.
Okay.
Please, we are starting. Now we are starting. Mr. Sharma, we are starting now.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm ready.
गोयल साहब, ये जो ऑर्गन डोनेशन एक्ट है ना
जी,
ये इसको जिस कमेटी ने ये रेकमेंड किया था
जी,
वो दैट कमिटी वाज कॉल्ड कुरैशी कमिटी and that Qureshi was that's why Qureshi. I was additional secretary Ministry of Health and High Court appointed this committee. हम लोगों ने इसे एक्ट रेकमेंड किया था.
कुरैशी साहब, मैं आपसे इस बारे में after my program, whenever you are free, I would like to discuss in detail.
Yeah, I was very happy to see organ donation की कोई तो बात कर रहा है.
Yes.
और सिर्फ organ की stealing and
Yes, I know that. I will be discussing with you in detail.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Now we are starting. Today in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topics, the impact of COVID-19, etc. Today, we are going to have a very, very hot current topic, that is TRP scam. Before I will come to the topic, I would like to inform that today is a World Standards Day. It's World Standards Day is an international day celebrated internationally each year on 14th October. The day honors the efforts of the thousands of experts who develop voluntary standards within standard development organizations such as American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME, International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC, International Organization for Standardization, ISO, International Telecommunication Union, ITU, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE, and Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. The aim of World Standards Day is to raise awareness among regulators, industries, and consumers as to the importance of standardization to the global economy. 14th October was specifically chosen to mark the date in 1946 when delegates from 25 countries first gathered in London and decided to create an international organization focused on facilitating standardization. Even though ISO was formed 1 year later, it was not until 1970 that the first World Standards Day was celebrated. We extend our greetings to all the regulators. And today, we are also discussing the TRP scam, which also comes under the regulators. So every time you turn around, there is a new scam. If you see fraud and do not say fraud, you are a fraud. Television Rating Point, TRP, is a tool provided to judge which programs are viewed the most. This gives us an index of the choice of the people and also the popularity of a particular channel. For calculation purpose, a device is attached to the TV set in a few thousand viewers' houses for judging purposes. These numbers are treated as samples from the overall TV owners in different geographical and demographic sectors. It records the time and the program that a viewer watches on a particular day. Then the average is taken for a 30-day period, which gives the viewership status for a particular channel. It is the tool that tells us which channel and the program are viewed most of, or it indicates the popularity of a TV channel or a program. It shows how many times people are watching a channel or a particular program. TRP enables advertisers and investors to understand the mood of the people. According to the TRP of a TV channel or a program, advertisers decide where to display their advertisements, and investors will decide about the investment of the money. TEM, Media Research, is a joint venture company between AC Nielsen and Kantar Media Research, IMRB. It is one of the two television audience measurement analysis firms of India. The company had enjoyed a monopoly in the television rating market in India till 2015. Broadcast Audience Research Council, BARC India, was being propelled as an alternate TV viewership measurement system to the incumbent. It was set up as per guidelines of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. It is mandated to design, commission, supervise, and own a television audience measurement system for India, and provides Indian broadcast sector with a real-time television rating points, TRP, measurement system to decide the fate of the 27,000 crore spending on TV advertising. What a scam. A scam or confidence trick is an attempt to defraud a person or group by gaining their confidence, or a clever but dishonest plan for making money. Now the question is, how in TRP scam takes place? The method is simple. The consultant gets to know the homes where the people meters that measures viewerships are located. These are meant to be anonymous homes, but the consultant manages to find out addresses. He visits the people meter homes, gives them a brand new 60-inch plasma TV and says, watch whatever you like on this lovely big TV, but on the TV attached to the people meter, you must watch this list of channels. The family also gets an additional reward at the end of the year if they have done what they were asked to do efficiently. In fact, Nielsen sent out their global head of security to India, and after a 4-month elaborate investigation, he said, I quote, I have never seen as much corruption of the Nielsen system anywhere else in the world, unquote. The matter involves not only the rupees 27,000 crores of revenue that TV channels garner from advertisers and product sellers, it also affects the more critical phenomenon of agenda-based television controlling public tastes and views. These ratings are important mainly to those who pump money into commercial advertisement on TV, as they need to ascertain who and how many are likely to be watching the various channels. The US is dominated by a private company, Nielsen, that covers some 80,000 households with its measuring devices. But as families are smaller, there the total number of viewers tracked would be considerably less than 2 lakhs. India's BARC has set up 44,000 barometers in selected television households to calibrate the choice of some 2 lakh viewers, because family sizes here are larger. A constant criticism against BARC that 44,000 meters can hardly claim to represent the views of nearly 20 crores television households. That the above act of tampering with the actual collection of data by interfering and influencing the households, the persons behind these criminal acts have hatched a criminal conspiracy with the intention to interfere with the legitimate collection of data and thereby cheat others, channels, advertisers, and finally the public. And to discuss and to enlighten all of us, we have a very, very elite, very, very knowledgeable expert in the fields panel with us. I would like to invite my first guest, and he is Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, IAS. Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, IAS is the former Chief Election Commissioner of India. He is the former Director General Doordarshan. He is an Indian civil servant who served as 17th Chief Election Commissioner, CEC of India. He is an IAS officer of 1971 batch from Haryana cadre. He has a PhD in communications and social marketing. He has authored a book titled An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election, a book that describes the enormity and complexity of the Indian election, and a book titled Old Delhi Living Traditions, a coffee table book on the heritage city and its social and cultural life. He figured in the Indian Express list of 100 most powerful Indians of 2011 as well as in 2012. He now pursues his interest in academics by teaching and mentoring at Cluster Innovation Center, University of Delhi in the capacity of honorary professor at the center. He is also a current member of the International Elections Advisory Council. Dr. S.Y. Qureshi was awarded the honorary fellowship of the National Indian Students Union UK in May 2016. Welcome, Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi on our show. Dr. Qureshi, you were Chief Election Commissioner and you were the Director General of Doordarshan. You know ins and outs of all the importance of the data and especially the TRP because you have worked in the Doordarshan. Now, we would like to know from you, the scam is this TRP scam, whether there is a scam or not. If yes, what is TRP and what is the scam? Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goel, for a very generous introduction. Actually, in your opening remarks, you have very beautifully and completely described the TRP system. There is hardly anything to add, but I'll just add a little bit of perspective from my experience. This scam seems recent and contemporary. Actually, it is as old as 20 years. I was DG Doordarshan in 2002 and 3, and that is when we realized that how the public broadcaster, the Doordarshan and Prasar Bharati, we were being cheated of our due share of money. At that time, you mentioned the figure of 27,000 crore TV ad spend of today. At that point, it was 8,000 crores. And obviously, all TV channels were eyeing that money, so were we. But the way we were being cheated of it, we realized soon enough. And then I started raising my voice and I almost made a fool of myself. Nobody would believe what I was saying and they would even ridicule me. In fact, one of our own colleagues in Doordarshan, Mukesh, knows a lady who was my favorite and continues to be my favorite. She even made fun of me saying, sir, by talking about it, you're providing entertainment to people like Tom and Jerry. Now, it hurt me, but it didn't allow me to change my mind about the greatness of that lady. She was otherwise a very good person. The only thing is her perception was different. Now, why was I agitated and what made me suspicious? You know, when I looked at the TRP figures, we found that the audience share of Doordarshan program was shown as only 1.5%. Now, which was blatantly and patently wrong, because that was the time when 50% of India had only terrestrial TV, which means only Doordarshan. So half of India was 100% watching Doordarshan. The other half may have been watching 2% of Doordarshan. So now simple arithmetic of a class 4, 100 out of 100 in half the country, 2 out of 100 in the other half. So that makes it 102. Divided by 2, it is 51%. Now 51% of India was watching only Doordarshan. 49% was watching 200 other or 500 other channels. Now in that situation, to be described as a small player with 1% audience and being given ad according to that was patently fraudulent. So I raised my voice against it, and secondly, I wanted to understand how TRP works. I can bet, Mr. Goel, that most of your listeners, most of your panel, and including Mukesh and you, Mr. Goel, have you seen a people meter? You haven't. I have. In fact,
no,
nobody has
I have not seen.
Because I was very curious. So what I did was I called the stamp people to protest, and I said, please install a people meter on my television in the DG Doordarshan's office. I want to see how it works. Now, what I saw was very revealing. First, a technician came, and he opened. I had a big Sony television that was the biggest those days. So he opened the cover, the back cover, using a screwdriver. And from people meter, 2 wires came, which were soldered onto the tuner of the TV. Now, the moment your screwdriver touches the television, you lose your warranty. Now, why will any volunteer? It has to be, the person who is installing people meter in his house is supposed to be a volunteer. Why will you volunteer to do that for social service by losing your warranty? Now, second thing, more important, how does it work? It is like a set-top box of television, which everybody is familiar with. And it has a remote control like television, which everybody is familiar with. The only difference in this remote is that a button is assigned to each member of the family. Husband is one, wife is two, the children and the servant. And what is expected is that when there is only one TV in the home, or normally you're watching the TV, and when the husband comes, he presses his button. When the wife comes, she presses her button. But when the wife goes back to the kitchen, she should press the button again, notifying that I'm not watching it anymore. I'm not in the room anymore. And then after half an hour, she comes back again. She should press the button again. Oh, look, now I'm back. Now, this kind of a stupid game, who will play? Not even the poor people. So who had the time to keep on pressing the button? I tried to do it for a day and a half, and I got so fed up, then I threw away the remote. I said, whatever channel is on or whatever is happening, but in the process, I got to know how it works. Secondly, the technician who used to come, he had to collect a card from the set-top box, which has the data. He used to come twice a week in the afternoon. So initially I asked him, do you pay any money to people who install this? He said, no, sir, no question. But after a few samosas and a few cups of tea, he became my friend. And then he told me the truth that the cat was out of the bag. He said, actually, we don't pay cash, but we pay them in kind. We give them a pressure cooker or a dinner set. And as we discovered later, and as you rightly pointed out, even a new TV set, brand new TV set, look, this is the TV you use for whatever you want to watch. And this is the TV on which meter is installed for doing the fraud along with us. Right. So this is the reality of the working of the people meter. So nobody will keep on operating it day in and day out, that I'm coming in, going out, coming in, going out. Because what time reports to you, who was watching them? 15 to 18 age group, a woman, and what time of the day, for how many minutes did they watch? Total fraud. It cannot happen. Even a person who, according to Mumbai police, was getting paid 400 rupees a month, even if it is 4,000 a month, who has the time to keep playing this game of pressing the button on and off? Now, secondly, why do advertisers advertise? So that people buy. And what will they buy? Sorry, I'll ask for what. Now, what will they buy? The kind of product I'm interested in. You will probably be buying a BMW and a Mercedes car, which is also being advertised on television. Or somebody will be buying soap or toothpaste, which everybody. Now, they used to have what is called socio-economic classification, SEC, A, B, C, D, E. A being the richest, E being the poorest. Now, for 400 rupees a month, would you like to install this meter, Mr. Goel? Or Mukesh, would you install it for 400 rupees a month?
No,
or 4,000 rupees a month? Or even 40,000 a month? You will not. So, which means these meters were installed only in the poorest of the poor homes. And on the basis of the data, BMW is being sold. The guy who is getting paid 400 rupees a month, as discovered by Mumbai police, and you are projecting the sale of luxury cars. So the system was total fraud, and I'm glad that it has been exposed and it comes to light. Now, what we need to understand that you use the word monopoly. That is the very important thing. Hardly anybody remembers the important fact that, but it happened in my time in Doordarshan, that in the initial month, there used to be two such agencies. One was called TAM, the other was called INTAM. And every week, these two agencies were giving different figures, totally opposite figures. So TAM got annoyed and they bought up INTAM. And after buying that thing, and they were very clever, they coined a new term. There used to be many currencies. Now there is a single currency. It sounded like a very fancy term, and even so-called experts, I will tell Mukesh the names of those so-called experts who thought they were God's gift to mankind in technology. Even they bought the concept of a single. At that time, I used to give an analogy. That was the time when, Mumbai terror was at its peak. And these terror groups used to attack each other. And because of that, police were able to catch them. Because they were fighting each other, they were exposing each other. It was like time and in time exposing each other. Now, once suppose these Dawood, Ibrahim, and Gauli become one group, one single currency, then God save us. Then it will be impossible to catch them. Now, this was nothing short of cartelization of the worst kind. Now, what was Monopolies and Restricted Trade Commission, now called the Competition Commission? That should have come in. But it didn't happen. Now, I'll finish on one more episode. Mukesh will remember.
Yeah.
When Mr. K. Sharma, who was our CEO of Prasar Bharati, who also did not agree with me, but to satisfy me, he organized a meeting of 10 top advertisers of the country, who were all in Mumbai, of course, Colgate and the big companies. And so that we have a meeting. Nielsen guy, Tam guy was also there, and I was there. We both presented our case. I asked them, look, it is your money, 8,000 crores, which we are eyeing. 8,000 crores, which we are all eyeing. Now, it is your money. You have to, are you not bothered whether it is going into the right hands or it is being fraudulently captured by others? So their reply was, horrified me. They say, we have to go by some figures. Now, some figure, I said, if those some figures are fraudulent, would you not examine these figures clinically? You can't go by general impressions. So they had no answer. And then I say again, then I asked the second thing. I said, do you know how this system works? And interestingly, if you give me 2 minutes, I asked them. I don't know whether Mukesh was there in that meeting or not.
I was there, sir. I was there.
So I asked them. I asked those 10 gentlemen. I said, okay, gentlemen, have you bought a television recently? Somebody raised his hand. Yes, I have. I said, should I tell you which television you have bought? He says, tell me. I said, you have bought Sony. A couple of TVs were which anybody would, rich man would like to. So I said, you bought this Sony 20 last week. Would you like to lose your warranty? And this is how you lose your warranty? He said, no question. Secondly, I said, twice a week, a man comes to your bedroom to collect the data, where maybe I should not use this analogy, but I used it then. I said, look, for instance, I have my non-working wife at home. She's the only one at home, and somebody comes twice a week in the afternoon, goes to the bedroom to collect the data. Is that a nice, pleasant thought? Not at all. So I said, this is how the data is collected, and will you be a party to it? He said, no. I said, then at least now think, because your money should go to the right place, like the with 51% share. So nothing happened, and it continued. Of course, occasionally I heard ZTV was making noise at that time. So a couple of channels which had got the hint of it started making noise, but it didn't make any difference. Till 2008, when it came up in Parliament. And that is when BARC was set up, and they were handed this is industry-led organization, and they were handed this program, but the system continues. What TAM was doing till 2015, the BARC started operating in 2015. What TAM was doing till then, BARC is doing now, but the methodology, the technique, and the system and the people meter is exactly the same. You mentioned 44,000 meters. Now, I don't care whether 44,000 or 4,000, but it has to be honest, because all these 44,000 are bogus. If they were genuine, good scientific, honest sample can give you an idea of the entire country. But people, they were carried away and they say, 44,000 is not enough. Okay, I say I make it 4 lakh, will you be satisfied? I will not be, because and of course, now what is the solution? Maybe I should stop and wait for you to ask me questions, and otherwise it becomes a kind of a lecture.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi. And Dr. Qureshi has clearly mentioned and explained very clearly how it works. First thing he asked, whether I have seen or anyone has seen this meter. The reply is very clearly no. And he has also mentioned that when he was in 2002-2003, when he was the head of the Doordarshan, he has checked up. At that time, the rating has come, which is about 2% for the Doordarshan. And he says how it is possible when the Doordarshan at that time is covering 50%, the 100%, the 50%, because there are no signals of other channels for good reaching. So it means 100% viewership was of the Doordarshan, and the rest 50%, yes, others are viewing. So he says, okay, others are 2%. So it works out to be 46%. But the figure was giving 2%. So he says this is not a new scam, it's a very old scam. And he has explained all the things, and he says whatsoever name has been changed from TEM to BARC, it makes no difference. The methodology is same, whether it's 44,000 sets or more, it makes no difference, and the fraud is committed. Now my question to you, Professor Dr. Qureshi, do you think it is only for the advertising money the police is investing, or there is something more? Because if you, and I know you know far more than all of us, if you see the share pattern of the holdings of these channels, the holdings are by somewhere connected with the listed companies. And once the profit goes to a company which is the holding company, will definitely the share price will go up. So it is not only the 27,000 crore rupees scam, it can be in lakhs of crores of scam, because the money because suppose A is holding the big network or big television channel. Now A is a listed company in the stock exchange. Now, once because of the fraudulent means, the B is gaining more and more viewership, it means it is getting more and more advertisement revenue. Once the B is getting more and more advertisement revenue, definitely the share price of A will increase, because A is holding the shares in B, a majority shares or a major chunk of shares. Definitely the A is getting the benefit directly rather, and selling the shares and or pledging the shares and getting the money benefit of that share market. So it is not only a fraud with the investors, but with the viewers, with the advertisers, but with the investors in the share company. That is one question, number one. And number two question is, DAVP releases the ads from the government side. Now, whether they are also considering this rating or not, because if one channel, A channel is having a rating of 2% and other channel is having rating of 6%, will they give the same number of ads to both the channels or more, and the rate of the A and B will be same or not? Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, please.
Yeah, Mr. Goel, you are extremely knowledgeable, I must say, and you have brought out a very important point. Although I had pointed out in my article in the Indian Express, there are two dimensions. One is the financial fraud. The other is ethical and legal fraud on the right to information of the people, that any media, TV channel or a newspaper should be telling me the truth. This is my fundamental right. And they should not feeding me disinformation fraudulently. So there are two offenses being committed, and I hope that Mumbai police will go into both of them. Probably the immediate provocation was only the manipulation of the audience, but its impact on the fraud on the stock market, you have brought out very beautifully, and this is extremely important. And even the ethical issue and the legal issue which I pointed out, obviously a channel which is able to project itself as the highly watched channel will based on created manufactured eyeballs, will start getting genuine eyeballs also. In fact, they get to know the channel is doing so well, I'll also be tempted to go to that, but all based on fraud. So, and they have to increase their TRP, the kind of hate speech and the hate narrative they are promoting. That gets promoted indirectly, and that is the more serious dimension, according to me. Money, 27,000 crore in a big country like ours may not be, may be peanuts, but it is the ethical and legal fraud which is being committed through this mechanism that is of more consequence, and I hope it will be a part of the investigation.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Qureshi. In the last, because you told me that you have to go, and I know that you are a very busy person. What are your suggestions to the government and advice to public?
You know, although in my article in Indian Express, I had offered a solution, but actually in my deep thinking, I think it is only a part solution. Because now in 20 years, the situation, things have changed, the technology has changed. Now we have a direct-to-home television in 70%, 80% of the home, and there is a set-top box. And exactly what channel I'm actually genuinely watching is perhaps being recorded, or in any case can be recorded by tweaking the set-top box slightly. But that solve the problem only partially. We will know which home is genuinely watching which channel from what time to what time. But who is sitting in the room and watching? Children, women, so that because the product advertising has to be programmed for them. Now that cannot be found out through that means. That can be found out only in the old time Russia, when the proverb used to be that you think you are watching the television, actually it is the television who is watching you. Now, if such a situation is technically possible, that TV can be, there may be an inbuilt secret camera in all television and you don't even know, or in the set-top box and they are watching everything that you do and who's coming, who's going. Now, how will we solve the problem of the specific targets, audience segments? That solution is not yet in my mind. But one solution which does come to my mind is, again, from my experience in history, tam and in tam. The fact that tam and in tam used to throw up totally different or opposite data. Perhaps the answer lies in creating, breaking the monopoly. Let there be at least 4 companies, if not 6 or 8 companies. And when all of them will be throwing up different data, then they will also be bothered about the credibility of their data, and they will try and be honest and let the advertiser decide. Okay, look, A company is bogus, I don't like their data. B company perhaps is honest, let me go by their data. That will answer the question which was raised by those 10 top advertisers. Okay, we have to go by some figures. Well, we give you a set of 4 alternative figures or 6 alternative figures. So there are 2 ways. One is that you give them the alternative sets of data and let people choose, advertiser choose. Or secondly, our regulator, the independent regulator, can aggregate all of them. And that aggregate, because 1 or 2 may be cheating, but the other may be honest, at least the aggregate will bring out the truth. So perhaps that is the kind of solution they should look at. But you are such a deep thinker, Mr. Goel, probably you will have a better solution, or maybe you can comment on my question.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Qureshi. In the last, I would like to just add one thing. We don't have any regulatory board as far as these news media is concerned. Why not government have a regulatory board like your election commission, independent? After all, we says the media is the 4th pillar of democracy. Where is the 4th pillar? Who is guiding them? It's a self-regulatory. Now, self-regulatory, that they are having no teeth. If they issue a notice or show cause, it makes hardly any difference. But if we will have, because you being the CEC of India, the power of the election commission. Why not we have a autonomous body or a totally independent body for the media on whole? What you say about this, Professor Qureshi?
Well, although in the context of media, any government regulation normally is not acceptable. People don't even want to hear it for a moment. And I would also go along with that. That government regulation is a certain no-no. Self-regulation is ideal but utopian. It can only be wished, it can never happen. One example I used to give, I was also a member of National Broadcasting Standards Authority of India, which is the creation of a News Broadcasters Association. So since it is a product and the creation of NBA, so NBSA becomes a self-regulatory industries mechanism. At the same time, it is an independent mechanism because the first chairman was our redoubtable former Chief Justice, Justice J.S. Verma. He said that I'll come in, I'll become the chairman only if you guarantee me total non-interference. I will prove no interference from you. So, and they said, all right. And the kind of guidelines NBSA framed. I was this member for 7 years. And I can vouch, not once did the NBA try to influence us. Not once. Once, they were tempted to. Once they called a meeting because some of our judgments were going against some of their members. So members were getting uneasy. And they called a meeting in the guise of a kind of a social get-together. But they wanted to chide us, to reprimand us for giving hostile judgment. I sense the mood where our Justice Ravin, too gentle a man. I'm not. I say, look, if you guys have come to chide us or reprimand us, you forget about it. Wind up the commission today. We are leaving. You cannot tell us what kind of judgments you want. If it is like if Supreme Court is giving anti-government judgments and the government expresses its displeasure, if you come to express your displeasure, we want to get out right now. No, that's not what we want. And then, so, they backed off. And I must appreciate after that, they didn't even make such an attempt and there was no interference. But the limitation was, as you pointed out, the membership was voluntary. And when we took action against some channels, they walked out. Now, we cannot take action against non-members. And these non-members, the rogue channels, we could do nothing about. That is when government can come in through regulation that every channel will compulsorily be controlled or come under the jurisdiction of this authority. So similar kind of arrangement can be considered. Now, TRI is already there. Maybe TRI can be given a mandate. Their mandate can be tweaked a little. But that TRI is totally government. Or no, not really. It's not totally government. It is an autonomous body like the Election Commission, created by an act of parliament with independence, so much so that TRI chairman, after his retirement, cannot take up any other government job to ensure his neutrality. So maybe we could work around strengthening TRI as an independent and fair regulator.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, for giving your very, very important time and important advices and your insight of this particular thing, what is TRP and what was the TRP, what is the TRP scam, because viewers are very much confused. They feel that only by paying 200 or 400 rupees, why we are making so hue and cry. But as you have mentioned very clearly, it's not only 200 and 400, it's a very, very big thing. And not only the financial, it impacts the entire country socially, economically, and otherwise also. Thank you very much. Yes, you want to say.
Mr. Goel, yeah, although you have now given me freedom to leave, but I'm very curious to get some feedback from some of the participants. So I'll quietly leave without formal permission, which you have already given me. But allow me to continue for a few more minutes.
That will be my pleasure because you only told me, that's why. Anyway, now, thank you.
Lot of work to do, but I'm also very curious to get the feedback on maybe what I think is a bright idea may not be so bright after all, because there are bright minds.
Yes. I think now Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi. Now, I would like to take some legal view about this because you have given from your side of the Doordarshan as well as from the government side what the government has done at that time. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and he's Advocate Deepak Dhingra. Advocate Deepak Dhingra is the proprietor of Law Linkers and Company in New Delhi. Advocate Deepak Dhingra is practicing in Supreme Court and appeared in almost all the high courts in India. He has vast experience in handling arbitration matters, including international arbitrations, and have been involved in many leading arbitration matters within the country and abroad. He also appears in tribunals and commissions. Welcome, Advocate Deepak Dhingra on our show.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Mr. Goel, for having invited me, though I must point out that I'm extreme misfit before Professor Qureshi and Dr. Sharma and, of course, Advocate Chirag, because, in fact, I was listening to Professor Qureshi, and, of course, I'll have the pleasure of listening to Dr. Mukesh Sharma later in this part of the interview. But I think I'm a misfit because I have got nothing to say as far as TRP and all these kind of things are concerned. Undoubtedly, I can just throw some issues or I can raise some points regarding the investigation by the police, which is underway pursuant to an FIR.
Yeah, Advocate Dhingra, before you will start, yes. I would just like to say one thing. I asked the question to Professor Qureshi. The question was whether we are looking only for a small advertisement money, which a private advertisers are spending, because one view is that private advertisers are very clever enough. They are knowledgeable, because it's, as Professor Qureshi mentioned, that this scam is going on for last so many years. So we cannot take lightly about the intelligence or the knowledge of those private advertisers, because they are all corporate groups. They know about this thing. Or there is a big scam, as I pointed out, whether it's a stock manipulation thing or something which Professor Qureshi says to change the mindset of the particular country or the particular community. So we would like to know what is the legal things, what you think that this, as you have started about the Mumbai police. So we would like to know about the legality aspect of this. Advocate Deepak Dhingra, please.
You see, as far as legality aspect is concerned, please appreciate, Mr. Goel, that we have got a complaint, an FIR registered, which was about on 6th of October, if I go by the media reports. Now, it's too earlier part of the investigation, because today, please mind you, we are living in a commercial world. Every scam, whether it relates to any issue, TRP, drugs, or whatever, has got some implications in the corporate world. Because you see, please appreciate, the corporate world is basically interwoven in the entire system. Everybody operates companies. Everybody has got heavy stakes, financial stakes, and other stakes with the companies. So every scam of every issue which occurs, whether on media or not on the media, has got financial implications as far as corporate sector is concerned. So as far as this is concerned, well, I say any scam as a matter of fact. If it's a scam, if you call it a scam, because I couldn't hear Professor Qureshi fully. Rather, he was saying that if I'm not mistaken, and he'll correct me if I'm not. He says, listen, it may not be a scam. It has been going on, if I'm not mistaken, and Professor Qureshi will correct me here. I think the later part of what I heard was that this has been going on. The TRP rating has been going on.
No, I will just correct you. What he said, that yes, this is going on for many years, 20 years, because he was the Director General of the Doordarshan in 2002. At that time also it was going on, and he is giving the example also. Yes,
correct. Please. That's what I said, that he said 2002 or 2003, it is about 17 or 18 years from now. So this was going on at that time. It may not at that time have such a vast financial implications, and may not have all the corporate world or the listing and that part of the, where the listing of the company gets involved, and maybe corporate entities are there who want this scam or who are perpetrator of this scam because of their own financial, because of the share market, which is so, well, for that reason, I really can't say, but I think let the police investigate the matter. Quite possible that there are implications which take the reins to the corporate world. And well, we can't really say that they'll be called proceeds of crime. Because you see, supposedly I ask a question to myself. Supposedly a company has gained by this. Let's take it that the share price was rupees 100 and now it became 120. Now let's take it that this company did inside trading. So when it did inside trading, it, let's say, made 80 rupees. Let's take it for a minute. Now this 80 rupees undoubtedly is proceeds of crime. But as far as supposedly I am a stakeholder, I am a public, because the share prices became 100 to 120 and I also made ₹2 in the share market, that cannot be called proceeds of crime because I'm unrelated.
But Advocate Dhingra, it is not only the minority shares, because they are the major stakeholders of the company.
Sir, I appreciate. Sir, as far as the majority shareholders are concerned, please appreciate the fact that in the event they with the knowledge, traded in the shares, did inside trading, taking advantage of the share price having accelerated due to the scam, then it can be called the proceeds of crime. But supposedly, I am a general public or maybe a minority shareholder, I trade into shares and make money out of it, whereas I am not a party to all what is happening, then undoubtedly that money you can't take it from me, sir.
Yeah, no, that's true. But
so please appreciate the fact.
As far as those who are having major stake in the company,
and they took advantage.
Yeah, of course, because the share price has gone up.
Knowingly, intentionally.
Then
also they were participants,
They are one of the promoters. If they are one of the promoters of the company,
that's right.
Of the channel.
Please appreciate. I appreciate, sir. But being a promoter is one part. But promoting this sort of crime for the purpose of escalation in shares is totally different. I may be a promoter, but I'm promoting the company. I'm not promoting a crime. So you have to link me, or the police or the investigating agency has to link me with the promotion of the company as also promotion and perpetuation of the crime. And the proceeds which I have got because of this perpetuation will be called the proceeds of crime. So every money which gets involved in the financial sector or other sector cannot be proceeds of crime. Otherwise, it will be totally untraceable.
Okay.
This will not be a scam of total, of the velocity what we're talking of, but this will become international scam because those corporate sector also maybe have international companies who have invested.
Yes.
So those also get involved. So please mind you, it will start from the trading sector at Mumbai, at a small name where the market is there, and it will reach international sector. So we really can't have this kind of financial implications and call every money which gets generated.
But one thing is there now. The Mumbai police has involved the EOW, that is Economic Offence Wing, because of they know that this is having some economic complications and those things implications. That's why they have involved now. So according to you, when this is the situation, will it termed as a crime, even if we will not take the corporate sector right now, whether the manipulation of these types of rating is a crime or not?
Sir, in case you go for the rating, well, per se it's not a crime. But then if you go for manipulating the ratings for the purpose of making financial gains, you see why? Now tell me. You see, in 1980s, I mean, the people born in 1960s, 70s, they are aware, and of course, learned participants also aware. Till late 80s, we hardly had one channel called Doordarshan. Then early 19s, we started with opening of the entire media sector. Today, we have got national, international, as also state channels. We even have lost the count of these number of channels today. So having said this, please mind you that as far as this is concerned, EOW will undoubtedly investigate into it. But in case if a channel promotes itself for the purpose of enhancing the rating, it's a usual business. I take it. But for the purpose, in case it involves financial implications and they do it purposely, then undoubtedly it invites a crime. So for that reason, EOW will do its job. In fact, we are hardly on the 8th or 9th day of investigation. And let the investigation be complete, and we'll come to know of all these implications later. Later part of the investigation will be the news media. In fact, it will be the news media because they are fighting among one another. Please mind you, it is the news channels which are fighting among one another, making allegations every day in the morning and every day throughout the day. So please mind you, we'll come to know of it. After all, they will expose one another in this process. They are not going to sleep over it. So this issue may not die down, the death which we are looking for, like in other matters. So one channel or the other channel who are competitors will undoubtedly expose the entire thing, whether it's economics or whether it's TRP or whatever.
Okay. Thank you very much, Advocate Deepak Dhingra.
I'm so sorry, I can only add this part of it because Professor Qureshi and of course Dr. Mukesh Sharma have been part and parcel of the industry. I have not been part and parcel of this industry, so I will not be able to comment more further on this aspect of the scam.
Okay. Thank you very much, Advocate Deepak Dhingra. Now, definitely we would like to go. Yes, Professor Qureshi, please.
Mukesh is part of the industry, but not part of the fraud. Let me clarify.
Okay. Yes, not
Now,
definitely.
Mr. Goel, since you are doing such an in-depth story, and I see a possible solution coming out from your discussion, which we will probably carry forward. There was one more dimension which I had noticed, and I would like to bring to your notice. It is not just a question of 2,000 or 44,000 people meters and 44,000 homes, but also in the number of cities. What happened in our time, there were only 12 cities. For instance, suppose it is, we wanted to know what is the audience like in Punjab. So they'll pick up just one city, let us say Ludhiana. Now, if I get to know which city they have installed the people meter, this information was money for me. What I will do is that I'll flood Ludhiana with genuine advertising, hoardings all over, this program doing well so much, Star Plus, Saal Bhi Kabhi Bahut Hi, everyone watching. It genuinely, I'll create a media hype, totally legal, but totally unethical. Because within the parameters of law, I'm doing something to manipulate the target audience. So therefore, this knowledge of number of cities where exactly this is happening, and whether that kind of manipulation is happening. In fact, I have these big people, big media buyers and media planners in Mumbai. I said, do you get carried away by just hawa jo banati hai propaganda se? After all, we are also human. जब हम उतरते हैं बम्बई एयरपोर्ट पे, एयरपोर्ट से लेके गेटवे ऑफ इंडिया तक जब हम होर्डिंग देखते हैं स्टार प्लस की, तो हम भी समझते हैं कि वो सबसे अच्छी है. Now, if this was the reaction of media expert, media buyers, media planners, imagine how public mind can be influenced by this disinformation, unethical but legally achieved. So I think you should make that a part of your investigation also.
Okay, thank you, Professor Qureshi. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Mukesh Sharma, our next guest. Dr. Mukesh Sharma is
Dr. Goel, I'm just interfering. I would like you to call up Mr. Zedi, Takir Zedi first, because most of the thing my boss has taken care of, my erstwhile boss, Dr. Qureshi, has taken care. So I will be repeating, but I'll try and summarize it. I would request you to take Mr. Zedi because he's from the private channel.
Okay.
And he will be a person to give
Okay. I invite Mr. Jadi to come and give discuss about say about this TRP scam. Mr. Jadi, please. Although Mr. Jadi has joined recently in my show, I have no his profile with me, so I cannot introduce him properly. So if Dr. Mukesh Sharma, if you just say...
Mr. Zedi, I'll just tell Mr. Zedi, I know he was working with us in the marketing team of Doordarshan quite some time back, and he will have a better perspective of the private channels, how they market and how they do it, and so he will again give you a different perspective from the private channels marketing point of view.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me, and good morning to everyone. I'm Takir Zedi, so just give you a background because I'm not introduced to many of the panelists. See, I have worked for 20 years in advertising, sales, and marketing department with various private television channels. Okay, and before joining Doordarshan. So we'll have to understand, like from beginning, what exactly has been happening, or if you want to use the word conspiring and all. Because we all know wherever there is money, there is multi-million dollar, or you talk about thousands of crores, eventually we come to know that there is some scam or the other which is happening. Eventually we come to know. So if we remember correctly about for example, if I can I can draw a parallel. We have got a stock exchange scam which happened in 1992. Okay, so there was somebody who was taking a lot of advantage of the loopholes in the banking system. Okay, and eventually he took advantage. He earned a lot of money. Stock exchange went haywire. All these things happened, and later on things were gradually streamlined also. Just the scam moved on, but there was a lot of regulation. So over here, I would say there was a lot of, things happening which were the loophole in the system itself, which people were trying to take advantage of. So let me start because, I heard Professor Dr. Qureshi also on this. He was talking about TAM and INTAM. Okay, so TAM and INTAM, TAM came out from, I think IMRB was doing that, INTAM was coming from ORG Mark. Later on they merged and everything. There was a lot of discrepancy between the ratings of these two organizations also, and later on they were kind of they were merged. The problem over here, when we talk about the industry which is growing at the rate of 30% at one time, what is the source of revenue with us? It is not distribution. It is not distribution unlike a US. US had got 75% of the revenue the channels were earning was out of distribution, 25% or maybe less than that was earned from advertisers. Over here, in India, it was absolutely, I would say more than that, 80-85% was earned through advertising only. Now, how are you getting advertising? Advertising you are getting when people are watching the ad or the television channel. And how do you know that people are watching the channel? It comes from the survey and the people meters. Okay. Now, we had such a small, okay.
Yeah.
There's some sound.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So everybody knows the biggest of the channel. I was working with Star at that particular time, and people used to call me and say that, okay, fine, what rate is Saas Bhi Bhauti, and I want to take the sponsorship. It was the humongous money they had to pay, and they say, who watches it? कौन देख रहा है इसको चैनल? इसको कौन देख रहा है? बेकार सीरियल है, सास बहू लड़ रही है उसके अंदर. Who's going to watch it? I said, if you stop buying it, people will stop watching it, and they are watching it. How is it shown? It is shown from the ratings. Okay, so there were 10,000. Before that, it was 7,000 people meter, which was representing crores and crores of population in India. So later on, who's going to increase the infrastructure? Then there were money which was being pumped in. Later on, till 2012 and 13, Park started this particular setup. So the only thing in this particular competition was that how to stay ahead. If I want a chunk of money from the advertisers, and advertisers are not going to do anything, they are not going to use their perception or anything. They will go absolutely by the surveys. They'll go absolutely by the numbers, because there are algorithms which are connected to that. There are trends that are connected to them. There are so much of data, and there are softwares and all which are basis of all those ratings only. Bark had promised a people meter, raise the people meter from 10,000 to 50,000. I think they have reached 45,000 now. Okay, which also takes a lot of money. But the thing was that now how do I get rating? Even see, it was said that the content is king. Okay, people, if you have got a good content, the program will be viewed. But if it is not distributed, the channel is not distributed, nobody gets the channel, then how are you going to get the rating? So distribution became, if content was king, good distribution became God. And how to capture that God? The only way was to know where the people meter is. And as somebody rightly pointed out over here, that nobody knows where the people meter is. It is very, very correct that you are not supposed to know where the people meter is. The scam was always there, which is what we are made to understand since 95, 98 and all. People started bribing each other and opening up doors that we should know where the people meter is, wherein they can go, they can manipulate a little bit. For example, my target audience is female 18 plus. I will try to identify those people if I want that, mine is a Hindi serial. So UP, Bihar, all these regions become very important. If I am a channel, I would eventually come to know that how many people meter are there in which area, and eventually, if I know those exactly dates and the addresses and all, I will go bribe them, manipulate them a little bit. Maybe I can bribe them with a set of televisions that whatever you want to watch, you can watch on that. But on this television, we'll put the people meter, we'll run only that program. So that is how the ratings were being manipulated. So if somebody says that it is an ethical case or something, sorry, I disagree. It is a financial scam. If I want a chunk of that 30,000 crore today in the market, which is the advertising revenue today, I will. If there is a loophole in the system, people meter and all, I will try to manipulate that. So that is what my point of view is.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jayadi, for giving the views from your side. Shall we, Dr. Sharma, now you would like to come, or you want to come after the legal view again?
After the legal view.
Okay, now I will go to my next guest, and he's, is he there? Yes, he's Advocate Chirag Sharma. Advocate Chirag Sharma is an advocate by profession, practicing before the Supreme Court of India and various high courts and tribunals of India. A graduate from Jindal Global Law School, Advocate Chirag finds inspiration in the role law plays in every law plays in every individual life, irrespective of the diversity. Formerly, he has been adjudged as the winner of international course Beef competition, a platform which involved analysis of complex problems faced by government, civil society, and industry, etc. Over the free course of his experience at the bar, he has appeared for and defended various government agencies as well as private parties. Advocate Chirag Sharma, welcome to our show. You have heard what Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi has mentioned, what Advocate Deepak Dhingra has mentioned, as well as what Mr. Tariq Zaidi has mentioned. I need not to repeat it again, but we would like to know, because what Advocate Dhingra says, that legality is there, but it is only the crime will be, whether it is a crime or not crime, which will come to know when the investigation will take place and it will be over, or subsequently. But what Mr. Tariq Zaidi mentioned, that it's a crime because it's a looting of the so much money every year, the 27,000 or 30,000 crores, the money which I'm not talking about the corporate right now, I'm the advertising money and influencing. What you say about it, Advocate Chirag Sharma, please.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for having me. And like, I believe that TRP is something integral to any and every channel, because like that is how they earn their revenues, and that is how they plan their business models, and that is how they expand. The problem lies is where there is a manipulation of the TRP. Now, the present system has a particular structure in which the TRP is calculated. It has BARC. BARC has appointed an agent which is known as Hansa Research, which basically goes to the various households to install the barometers, or what we call as people's meter. So there are around like 44,000 meters installed throughout the nation. And then you have the television viewers, and television viewers are in turn watching the television, and the television which is being watched is actually being monitored by the BARC. So actually it happens to be like a circle where there is a system of certain checks and balances, and each body that I described has certain role to play. Now the legal problem that lies is where there is a manipulation. Now say, now of course, if there is a disclosure of a particular offense, that offense, there are certain factors that need to be first of all taken care of. One, what is the nature of the offense that is being disclosed? Second, what is the agency that is taking care of the investigation? And third, what is the fact scenario which is involved? Now say for example, there is this particular agency called BARC, and say if a particular person or a director is involved in certain manipulation, or is in connivance with some person who is running a TV channel, then in my considered opinion, I think the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 would come into place. Now the first thing is like, in order to be held liable under the Prevention of Corruption Act, you need to be a public servant. So I have with me the BEAR Act, and I'll just read out the definition of what a public servant is. And this is basically the act which also includes the amendments that came in the year 2018. So section 2, subsection C describes public servant as any person in the service or pay of the government, or remunerated by the government by fee or commission for the performance of any public duty. Now the words that are important is any person in this service for the performance of any public duty. Now public duty has also been described under the Prevention of Corruption Act, which is under section 2 subsection B, which says that public duty means a duty in discharge of which the state, the public, or the community at large has an interest. So my argument is, if the BARC is basically a body that is working in trusteeship of the public, it is established to see that there is no unfair trade practices going on. Now the TRP manipulations that go on, and all the structure of TRP that is prevalent in the Indian market, they have secretly given the duty to install all these barometers to Hansa Research. So now even the BARC organization, it is bound to keep things that are secret, because they are working in trusteeship of the public. Firstly, BARC is performing a public duty because they are working at the behest of the public. Secondly, it is their duty to ensure and secure that there are no unfair trade practices. Thirdly, if there is any particular channel which is into say TRP manipulation, now it will automatically boost up their own viewership. Now, if the TRP is manipulated and the viewership has been boosted up artificially, then more advertisers will come into towards that TV channel. Now, since the number of advertisers are limited in the market, of course, there has been an exponential rise since the early 2000s up till this particular decade. There has been a rise, but as far as but we can still say that there are limited number of advertisers in the market. So the advertiser will automatically shift its base to the one which has more TRP, and in turn the channel which has been working hard but was unable to extract enough TRP from the public, it will lose hold of that business amount that it would be getting from the advertisement, and indirectly they will be destroying their own competition. So say there is a manipulation of TRP. One, you are gaining your own revenue. Second, you are also destroying your competition. So BARC has a duty to ensure that the public duty that they carry out on behalf of the citizens of the country, they need to do it in a responsible manner, because whatever actions they perform, it is going to affect the community at large. And that is why any, say, director or a committee member, if alleged to be involved, so he should be facing charges again under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Moreover, if there are certain more allegations depending upon the facts and circumstances of the case, then he might also be incriminated under Section 120B, which is the criminal conspiracy under the Indian Penal Code, and of course Section 409, which involves a criminal breach of trust by a public servant or an agent. Now, as far as the duty of say an agent of Hansa Research is concerned, so say BARC is performing its duty honestly, and there is some person who is working with the Hansa Research who is involved with leaking to say a particular TV channel as to who is involved into manipulation, or which households have barometers installed with them. So if a particular employee is involved in such an act, one, if he is into service, then even he may face charges under Section 409 and 120B of Indian Penal Code. If he is not, then being a former a person working with the Hansa Research, he may still be held under Section 120B because he is acting in connivance with a TV channel to disclose some information which he was not supposed to disclose. Thirdly, when any particular person is employed by Hansa Research, I'm sure that there might be some confidentiality clause within their contracts that they are not supposed to disclose it to any third party, that what they are supposed to leak out or not. So that also happens to be a violation of that particular contract. Now coming to the next point, as far as television viewers are concerned, a question also arises as to whether the television viewers should be held accountable under the law in force or not. Now, my take on this is that if, say, a television viewer, if he happens to be a so-called a bhola viewer, like he is a very honest viewer, and he does not know, he is not well educated as to like whether a person or whether like whatever the conspiracy is going on, whether he is aware of it or not. If he is unaware of it, then of course he can go scot-free. If he's not, then perhaps even he can be incriminated under various sections of the Indian Penal Code. It all depends on the investigation and the outcome of investigation that is being carried out, because at the end the government agencies have to visit the households wherein the barometers were were installed, and they have to investigate and inquire the people and the owners of that very particular household, that what have been the terms and conditions in which you were in contact with certain members of the BARC, or say any TV channel, or persons involved in the Hansa Research Organization. So all these things are part of a particular investigation, and accordingly I think even a television viewer can be incriminated depending upon the facts and circumstances of the case.
Okay, thank.
Yes. I have another point to add.
Yeah.
As far as the remedy that is available to other TV channels is concerned, say there is one particular channel that is involved into manipulation. and there ought to be certain remedy that should be provided under law, so that other TV channels can exercise the fact that they have the belief of the law in force. So in my considered opinion, I think they can approach the Competition Commission of India. Now they can either make a complaint to the Competition Commission of India, or the Competition Commission of India can take it its own cognizance and direct the Director General to conduct an investigation. In case there is an adverse practice, as is defined under Section 3 of the Competition Act of 2002, in case there is any adverse practice, obviously the Competition Commission can look into it and take steps accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much, Advocate Chirag Sharma, for giving the legal views. Yes. Yes,
I just want to add to Mukesh. Mukesh, do you find that the BARC and Hansa...
No, not Mukesh. He's Mr. Chirag, Advocate Chirag. Yeah, you're muted. You muted yourself. Advocate Dhingra, you have muted yourself. Please unmute. Please unmute. Yes.
But Mr. Chirag, the only issue is that is Hansa and BARC a public body so as to invite Corruption Act?
So in that particular context only, I had cited the particular act, because now the definition of public servant has been widened up, and if subsection C of section 2 is taken up, now of course under the corruption public,
because they are private bodies.
Yes, because they have involvement of certain private associations as well. So now the thing is like, yes. So they ought to classify as a public servant in order to attract the Prevention of Corruption Act. So in my opinion, if the section is considered, I would repeat it for your perusal. It says any person in the service or pay of the government or remunerated by the government by fee or commission for the performance of any public duty. Either that person can be in service, or he ought to be remunerated by means of a fee or a commission. So even if there is no fee or a commission given to him by the government, despite that fact, he is into the service of the government because he's working in the trusteeship of the public. He's performing a public duty. And the definition of public duty is also defined under the Prevention of Corruption Act, which says that public duty means discharge of which the state, the public, or the community is affected.
That is fine, but then both the conditions have to be satisfied.
Yes, of
both
course.
The conditions. There can't be only one condition that they are satisfying the public. So it has to be either money drawn from the state exchequer or government exchequer. So you can't really have the first condition doesn't get satisfied because they are all both private entities.
It all depends on the particular facts and circumstances of the case.
If I'm supposedly ABC Private Limited and I'm serving, let's say I'm into medical equipments.
Yes.
Supplying and selling medical equipments to hospital, I don't become a public body.
Yes, of course. I'm just saying in regard to, say, if a director or a high office bearer is involved in the allegation to hold that particular position, for them, of course, we can interpret the clauses.
Okay. Thank you very much, both the advocates here. I know that it's very difficult when two advocates are on the board. We have seen in the courts also. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma is the former Director General of Film Divisions of India and also the former Additional Director General of Doordarshan, working for the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for the Government of India. He has been in the TV broadcast industry since 1992. He won the Best DD Kendra Award in 2001. He was instrumental in changing the fortunes of DD Mumbai and was the #1 regional Marathi Kendra in the country for a number of years. Dr. Sharma is the recipient of several national and international awards for the work done in the film and broadcasting industry. He also holds a PhD in journalism and mass communication. Currently, he is the Dean with the School of Branding and Advertising with NMIMS University, Mumbai. Welcome, Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Although you have made your channel #1, now the question is coming, how you have made the #1. We will not say because Professor Dr. S.Y. Qureshi has already given you the clean chit. So we would like to know what is this happening, whether it's really a scam or it's just nothing. It's just 200 or 400 rupees or giving a TV to somebody as a Diwali gift or Eid something. Is it that or is it really a scam? Dr. Mukesh Sharma, please. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Welcome all the panelists in this session, and it was nice to hear everyone because most of the things have been covered. So hardly there is anything left for me, and especially my predecessor, Dr. Qureshi. I called him purposely, knowing fully well that once he is there, I will not be able to make more runs because he has already made a century in this entire discussion. But I'm just trying to bring out my own way of thinking, because what we are doing is we are measuring media. And anywhere if there is a fault in measurement, whether you are measuring खाने का सामान और पीने का सामान, if अगर आप डंडी मारते हैं जो हमारे टाइम पर कहते थे, which was wrong. Remember earlier when you used to buy तराजू के नीचे चुम्बक लगा देते थे, they would put some magnet, and so if you are giving a wrong outlet or a wrong thing out of measuring, it is a crime. So when you are measuring media, you are doing a service to the people, but you are doing a crime if you do not measure it properly. So for me, TRP is not a television rating point. It has to be a true rating points. Otherwise, let's call it FRP, the false rating points. Now, why the need for TRP arose? The problem was that when we had only one channel in our time, Doordarshan. In fact, during 2000 to 2007, when I was heading DDK Mumbai, I had actually no problem at Dr. Qureshi because 50% of the people were watching my channel because they had their good old antenna, kabutar antenna, what we used to call. And my money with the advertisers was also secured. I was getting that money. Yes, when this started, that cable came up and this came up, then government also started thinking that we need to do something about it. So the TRI actually as early as 2018 in the consultation paper it said that one of the biggest challenges has been the absence of any specific law through which the agent/suspects involved in panel tampering infiltration could be penalized. It's noted that BARC has filed FIRs in various police stations against the agent suspect involved in panel tampering infiltration, but its effort to mitigate panel tampering infiltration have been hampered due to any absence of any legal framework. So I'm trying to say is, why can't we call it a wrong measuring of media when you're giving something wrong figures? So when you're doing that, it can be taken up under that, which our advocate friends may know better, because you are tampering with eyeballs, you are tampering with footfalls when you're measuring them. Now, important thing interesting is, how does the panel tampering affects also TRPs? Yes, there are 45,000 such meters catering to 84 crores of people. I'm not talking about household, I'm talking about 84 crores multiplied by 2, so many eyeballs. Now, those people are actually watching or not watching, we do not know. We are only concerned with 45,000 of these. If they are watching, that means the entire 84 crores are also watching. The methodology says that. Now, if there is a little tweak in the panel size, so TRI mentioned that panel infiltration has a significant impact when the panel size is smaller. With the increase in panel size, the infiltration of panel loans become challenging. And there is a very interesting example, sir. The example of an English TV news, which has a small share of the national viewership pie of around only 1.5%. Only 1.5%, which means for around 45,000 panels, around 700 households will contribute to that viewership. You got my point? The figures are like this. If we have something like, say, 100 channels, out of them 43 are news channels, please understand. And out of those 43, these panels, 45 panel households, how many are watching and not watching, will come down to only 700 households. Now, what actually happens is that while you sample around 700, not all of them are watching English TV. Assuming 350 are watching, in such a scenario, if you manage to reach 10 among the heavy viewing homes, you can swing the needle. Needle ka kanta bahut zyada ghum jata hai. It gives you a total different picture. Now, chote se sample size mein manipulation becomes easier. In a genre of English channels, because fewer homes will have larger weightage, change in behavior of one home gets amplified at a much larger scale nationwide. Additionally, as each channel tries to project itself as a market leader in a particular segment, it slices the data into socio-economic brackets on the basis of, as we all have discussed, gender, age, time slot, prime time, and all that. Now, all this, when I'm saying is, government should not find a problem, our legal system should not find a problem, because you are fingering with the measuring part of the media, which is what I'm trying to say. So the moment we say media measurements, that means we need to ensure that the measurement is correct and the things are in place. And as it is, TRI, as Professor Qureshi has also said, can be the harbinger of such control. It depends how much more powers we can give it to that. That's what I can add to it. Rest of the things I think your panel has already added.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, for giving your space. Yes, please. Yes, Mr. Jadi.
It has been a very, very interesting discussion, but a few points, like I thought that, let me add to that particular part. See, this particular problem, when we are talking about this particular issue in October 2020, it is a 2-decade-old issue. Okay, when we say that 45,000 people meter are less, I would say it is huge number. Where I'm coming from, when it's to be 7,000 people meter. Okay, now the only question was that who's going to fund it? Who's going to fund it? Who's going to manufacture this people meter, barometer so-called? So later on, when back came into what is BARC? BARC is a consortium of advertiser agencies and television channel partner who has got stakes in that. So it was taken to be a very, very, very foolproof method, not a third party thing. Me, you and them getting together and getting those people meters installed. So, and it was happening in phases. It rose to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 45. It has come in stages, and there the target was 50,000 initially, and then later on, God knows when, it would be 1 lakh also. But talking about the legal point of view, I don't understand too much of legal language, but I don't know whether it is a public entity, it will get severely punished, or it is not a legal entity, it is not going to be legally punished. But the question over here is that it is a scam wherein, see, if I am a channel and I know the content is same, okay, content is similar kind of a thing, I want more rating, I want distribution to be in place. My channel should reach each and every household. That's the first thing. And if I'm getting a loophole, so in this case, there are a lot of hue and cry about, for example, Republic today. Republic.
No, sorry, Mr. Jadi. We will not name any of the channel. We are just, yes, please. Thank you.
So if a particular channel is being in question currently, yesterday there was some other channel was in question. Before that, some other channel was in question. That is why we are discussing it so much. But this issue has been there. There have been discussions on that. There is a channel. I don't know whether I'm allowed to use the example, but there is a news channel which is number 10 right now, number 10 channel. It is very, very popular. But if you get into its app download or online presence, it is number 1. Now, do you think it is really possible that online people are watching the same content, but on television people are not watching? There's a huge, huge gap. So who's accountable today? The channel in question, definitely people are shouting top of the voice that they are culprit. But culprit is, again, I agree with Advocate Chirag also, that other stakeholders, which is BARC or Hansa, because they have opened the doors to people. So they are going to take advantage. If I want rating, I will take advantage of that, because I am in a very competitive market. I have to survive. I have to pay salaries. I have to hire most expensive journalists with me. I have to hire most expensive equipments possible for me. So I have got a P&L with me, and I want money. And today, if I'm getting a door open, and this door has been opened to me by, I'm not opening the door, somebody else has opened the door, I will go for it. So the culprit is sitting over there in that particular part. That's the only thing I wanted to add.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Jadi. Sorry that our media is such that we never either praise anybody or criticize anybody. Yes, we criticize. I'm just saying, I understand, because we believe that we should give the expert opinions. We want your expert opinions to go to the viewers. We do not want shouting, which we are not doing. We want that, like now you have given the views, definitely the viewers, because you are an expert in your field. I am not an expert. Professor Jadi, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, Advocate Dhingra, Advocate Chirag Sharma, they are expert in their fields. So that is why we want to know what is the facts, and which I'm sure you people have very well given the importance. And
I would like to make a point, please.
Yes, please.
There have been cases in the past wherein even private bodies under Article 12 of the Constitution of India have been held as a state. And a question was put to me by Advocate Dhingra, saying that it happens to be a private body. So how do you bring in the Prevention of Corruption Act? So my argument and response to that is that BARC actually happens to be a body that is working for the community at large. And it has a duty to protect the interests of the public. And it is the body that is well aware of the television sets wherein the barometers or the people's meter have been installed. So they are duty bound to protect that type of sensitive information, as it may be misused and it can accrue a cost of more than thousands of crores of rupees. So as far as it being a private body in that sense is concerned, I think that is a very narrow interpretation, because formally the Supreme Court of India has held private bodies to be under Article 12 of the Constitution, which is a state wherein you are performing any sovereign function. So when you are performing any sovereign function, you are bound to protect the interests of the community at large. So in that sense, I meant that the Prevention of Corruption Act can come into play if an office bearer of the bar is involved.
Okay, thank you very much, Advocate Chirag Sharma. Now, Professor Qureshi is there. Are you there, Professor Dr. Qureshi? No, I think he has gone. Okay, now in the last, only we have few seconds or few minutes left. Any good suggestion you want to give Dr. Mukesh Sharma to the government? Only one suggestion, please. Limited time.
I would like to sum it up differently, sir, because what Dr. Qureshi has given and what they have said, they are the thing, but it's going to take a lot of time because people's meter, increasing them, it's an expensive thing also. So multiple agencies doing it, it's a good idea of Dr. Qureshi rather than one agency monopolizing it. Okay. But I just want to sum up with this interesting Peter Mackwell, who was a great author and a writer and died very young. The news medias are, for the most part, the bringers of bad news, and it's not entirely the media fault. Bad news get higher ratings and sells more paper than the good news.
Okay, thank you very much. Advocate Dhingra, you want to say anything? One last suggestion only. Please unmute. Please unmute. Please unmute.
So the only thing I can say is that, like other bodies, we need to have a regulatory body. We need to have a regulatory body because we have a lot of yellow journalism coming up. Channels have become political stooge, and they're acting throughout the day 24/7 at the behest of one or the other political party, which will be stopped. So there has to be a regulatory body which should basically keep a harness on all these channels. Thank you so much.
That I have already told Professor Jayadi, but he says that then it will be a curb of freedom of his speech. Anyways, we will discuss this. Mr. Jayadi, you want to give any suggestion? Very quick, please.
Very, very briefly, just one thing I would see. Suggestion has been very well given by the legal part also. What I'm saying is that gradually this paradigm is going to shift. It is shifting because things are moving online. And online, there is absolutely transparency. It is going to take a little bit of time, but we'll have to wait for that because the entertainment, news, everything is shifting gradually to apps, to online stuff and all, which is absolutely transparent. So
okay, thank you very much. Advocate Chirag Sharma, last but brief.
So basically, of course, I would agree with the fact that there is a paradigm shift, and we, of course, are in a IT world these days. We are shifting ourselves to, say, more internet related and IT related apps and devices. And of course, our reliance is also shifting, but TV has its own role to play. I don't know, because like previously...
Please be brief.
All right. So like there is a shift because like previously, television and like say even cricket matches and news used to be watched only on the television sets. But now there has been a shift. You can use our handsets and everything to view the news and all. So I would agree with that shift. And of course, let's hope for the best in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. So today you have seen that the TRP scam, what is proposed or shown can be a very big one. That is not our job. Our job is just to enlighten you from the expert opinions. Let the law will take its own course. Let the investigation do their job. We are not investigating even journalists. I am not at all. My only thing is that we wanted to bring to your notice what is TRP, what is all these technical terms which are coming nowadays in the media. So now I think today viewers have been enlightened what is happening with the views of all experts of the field. And today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Saroka News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring every day something new. And tomorrow is a very special day. We are celebrating the birth anniversary of our beloved Professor Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And tomorrow's program is special because we've been joined by the 20 students pan-India from third standard to the postgraduate and even from the law college. And those students are going to speak about the Kalam Vision 2020, his views about the education. And our chief guest is Miss Aishwarya Sagar IPS, ASP Murshidabad, West Bengal. Please do join tomorrow. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Qureshi, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, Advocate Deepak Dhingra, Advocate Chirag Sharma, and Mr. Tariq Jaidig. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you all
Thank
the
you so much.
viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.